of our Solana Beach Civic and Historical Society Old Timers interviews.
Old time, okay. Good.
And we are so happy that you get to be the first trial run
Okay.
here. I'm Michelle Stribling, the Solana Beach Civic and Historical Society
My name's
president.
Nancy Gottfredson.
And Robert Gottfredson, also known as Bob.
Bob. We'll call you Bob today.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did read the articles that you did for an interview, Bob. I learned a little bit about your childhood and your family coming across the plains in a
Yes.
Oh,
yeah
handcart.
handcart. So, were they Mormon?
Yes.
Okay, because that was my background as well.
Mhm.
So, they made it to Utah, and then
Eventually.
They didn't make it.
oh, what happened?
They didn't make it in one shot. They ran out of money, and he had to find work. And he made a lean-to, a sort of a dugout in the side of the hill for his family, and disappeared for about 3 months while he made money,
Wow.
so they could travel on. And luckily for them, what happened was another wagon train came through, and his wife's sister had married well, and the man had a wagon, and he had enough money to buy them a wagon,
Wow.
so they could all travel on together.
It's amazing when you hear those pioneer stories. I would never survive.
I don't think I would either.
So how long were they in Utah, and how did you end up in Pasadena? I think you ended.
Well, we moved to California, Los Angeles actually, before I was born.
Okay.
And it was Depression time, 1929 roughly. And
Good times.
people lost their jobs, they didn't have any income. And so as far as I can recall, they came to California hoping to
Make some money.
make a life. And my dad was kind of a handyman. He worked in everything as a young man, coal mines, you name it. And so he got a job, I
Well,
guess
was it a packaging place? Oh, you had a gas station first.
he had a gas station,
Yeah. He ran a
a Shell gas station in LA
with
somewhere.
a glass pump,
Yes,
you watch
it's
the
old.
gas
Wow.
go up and
Yeah.
down.
Well, when we moved to Pasadena, he had the old style pumps, and they weren't they didn't have to crank them by hand. They had little electric pumps in them. And they had a glass bowl on top with a thing like a float, like a toilet has with a float in it. And that's when it would shut off. You push a button and it would fill up, and then it would stop when the float got
Got like a toilet.
supposedly 10 gallons.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he had a gravel lot, and as a boy, my job was to keep the gravel neat and tidy.
Wow. Times have changed, haven't they? And then Nancy, a little bit about your.
Yeah, my father was a cabinet maker by profession, and when the 1906 earthquake happened, he came to California because there was supposedly going to be a lot of work in California, and he went to San Francisco first, and that didn't work out. I have a half-sister, or had a half-sister, she's gone. But they moved down to Pasadena then, and he had his own shop for many years, and then the Depression hit, and the studios were just starting to work. So he got a job at different studios. And that was before they were unionized, so it was kind of the luck of the draw. You went to each studio to find out who was making a movie at that particular time.
So was that when they were talking movies, or was that before?
No, this was, well, talking movies came in about the time I was born,
Okay.
in the 20s.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was born in 30, but talking movies came in little before, but not very much. It was mostly silent.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he kept his shop through the war, through the Second World War, and then sold it. By then he was getting older. And that was a big step, and we added on a room to the house, and a storage shed for the lumber behind the garage, and different things. And he kept on doing odd jobs for people in Pasadena. When he first came to Pasadena, he really specialized in staircases, and Orange Grove was just being built. He did a lot of staircases there. He went to work at 20th Century Fox in the prop and miniature department and did a lot of miniatures because he'd bring projects home. The two that I remember is the clock in Laura that held the gun.
In the movie?
And yeah. And did you ever see it?
I did not. Laura?
Laura, yeah, it's
L-
Jean Turney.
Laura? Or
Laura.
Okay.
And the problem with that was that they wanted the door to open slowly. So if you pressed a button, it wasn't to pop open, it was to move very slowly because the music was gaining resistance and the gun was hidden there. And that worked out well. And then he worked in, what was the name of that movie that was on TV when TV started and they had the sailing ship?
Oh, golly.
We had a huge sailing ship that would have covered this table that he brought home, and he worked on it at night. And
So
so,
prop for
and that
the movie.
was because they used it to show it on the back lot. They had this huge lake at 20th Century Fox, and they floated it out, put all the shields up so they got reflected light, and they wave machine,
Wow.
which was just a man, the short, pushing the water. And they'd sail this out, and that was for the long shots.
Wow.
Because they didn't have a whole ship. They had half
That's
the ship
amazing.
on,
You guys have
half the ship
Interesting.
on the stage.
interesting
big
parents
film.
and interesting childhood.